passing game and receiver analyst. Been a guest many times on the shows. Glad to have you with us this afternoon. Mike Schopp has the day off today. Nate Geary is sitting in for him. I am the Bulldog. Eric Wood will join us, rescheduled from Monday. That's coming up at 4. We'll touch base with Sal at 5 on the lengthy but maybe improving injury report. I don't know. There's a lot of names. Only a couple of DNPs, quite a few limiteds. But some guys did return. Anyway, we'll run over all of that when Sal gets in. Trust issues. You heard Matt Harmon say it there. You mentioned it. I've talked about it. Like I think it is one of the ways that we might not even intentionally be excusing Allen's misses when he does miss. Is because he just doesn't. Well, why did he bail out on a clean pocket? Because he doesn't trust what's happening down the field. I don't think it's so much he doesn't trust the guys in front of him. It's just like, I'm going to stand here for too long waiting for someone to break open, so I better get out of here, right? And then maybe someone will extemporaneously, off script, break open, and that'll be our play, and that's that. But trust, I think, like Joe Brady sitting down with Allen and going over this stuff and telling him to trust what he sees feels a little bit to me like a pitching coach going out to the mound to tell the pitcher to relax.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure. Okay. Yeah, man.
Just breathe. Just relax. It's not that big a deal. Just like you do in practice, right? But like your adrenaline's going, you're just like, relax. I can't relax. Right? I'm not saying that is specifically Allen, but I think when the guy that is the most important piece of the equation, the guy with the ball in his hands, is having trust issues, I think it's a very difficult thing. It's easy to say, well, just trust it.
Yeah.
But to me, that's the point. It's just like saying, well, relax. What happens when someone tells you to relax when you're really upset? You usually get more upset.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like how they reel this all back in, but trust issues, I think, are a big deal.
So listening to Matt Harmon, first of all, he's fantastic. I'll listen to that dude for forever, right? He said a couple of things there I think were important. The first one being, well, what I'm going to take from that is I think there's a lot of pressure on. I think the pressure of winning a Super Bowl and their inability to get there, right, wrong, and different, has been more on Josh Allen than on Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane. And I would think in most franchises, you look at the head coach and you look at the general manager, and they're the ones that typically bear the pressure of an organization winning a Super Bowl. They have more control. But because of how good Josh is and how little he's been able to get to the place that players his peers that are as good as him have gotten to, I think there's a inherent pressure on Josh that it's almost you're starting to see the cracks of, I need to do this, and if I need to drag these guys along, I'll do it. But the thing that Harmon said that I don't think gets talked about enough is their desire to be this run-first football team and how it really does not jive with what they have going defensively. And you might say, well, Nate, that doesn't make sense. Don't you want to possess the ball, score, and try to keep the ball away from opposing offenses because you don't trust your defense? Where I think the Bills are in this complementary, everyone eats, this whole sort of mindset they have is, I'll say this about Ken Dorsey, whom I wanted fired. Ken Dorsey wanted to put 100 on you every game. And if it meant they were going to throw the ball 60 times, they're going to throw the ball 60 times because they're trying to hang 100. Mm-hmm. I get the sense this offense is not built like that. Their mindset is not, we're going to go score more points than you. It is, we want to possess the football. We want to, and I've heard you say a lot, which is like, it shrinks your margin for error.
Sure.
Yeah. Because you just you're possessing the ball a long time. You have less possessions. You have less opportunities to score. And I sometimes feel like I watch this offense and I say to myself,
and more opportunities to take a penalty,
right,
whatever, it's negative, whatever.
Correct. Yeah. And the more I watch this offense, the more I just get this sense it's like they don't want to be the team that scores on you. They want to be the team that is physical and downhill and takes what the defense and that's fine. But I want to feel like they want to score more points than the other team, not out-strategize the other team. I don't think they're strong enough strategically to do that week in and week out.
Yeah.
I just don't think they are.
I think this point about Allen maybe feeling the pressure, I think the perception out here is he has to overcome the obstacles that have maybe in some cases we perceive that have been put in his way from inside. Like that he has to overcome McDermott in some way. He has to overcome the roster. And the lack of talent at receiver. And that is a lot to carry. I don't necessarily agree across the board that is the case,
right.
But I think that's the perception,
yep.
And from the perception comes the pressure. And so whatever the reality is, that might be the pressure point, is that he is carrying more of that than he probably should. I think in some cases. 803-0550 is the number. Let's fire it up. Chris, you're first up this segment. You're on WGR. Thanks for calling.
Thanks for having me on. My opinion is not coming from a sophisticated viewer, but my observation is that Josh is not able to get himself into a rhythm or a tempo because they run the ball on first down, and he's finding himself in a situation where he has to throw on third down. The receivers aren't getting enough attempts to catch, and it would be interesting to see if Josh might feel a little less pressure throwing on first down than throwing third and long all the time.
Well, I think that's a good observation. I listened to Joe Brady, his Monday evening meeting with the media, and one of the points that he made more than one time, like it might have been just one answer, but he might have said 2 or 3 times within the answer about like looking at the game, like what would you have done differently, like what tripped you up, and he talked about passing against Miami earlier in like first downs,
yep.
Because of what Miami, like you referenced already, what they were doing, how they were playing.
31st, by the way, 31st in the league in neutral pass rate on first down.
Right.
Meaning they run the ball more than 30 other teams on first down.
Right. And isn't there a tendency under center versus shotgun?
Yep. And
horribly predictable.
And the other part of it,
like
too,
it's
is
in the 80s, right?
Yes.
Like you're running from under center 80% of the time.
And you're throwing from shotgun.
You're throwing from shotgun 80.
And they talked about it on the broadcast.
It's 2025.
Bulldog, they talked about it in the broadcast.
What are we doing?
I think it was it Charles Davis? Is that who had the calling the game?
Yeah, it was
right? Okay.
He and McCourty and
he was talking about
Andrew Catalan. Yeah.
86. Kincaid runs on the field. They're going to throw the football.
Right.
When he goes off the field, they're going to run the football. And like these are things. And when they run their tight bunch set with Khalil Shakir on the far receiver, they're going to run the screen, the tunnel screen. So if we're all watching this,
right,
guys who watch casual all 22 so that we can get on the radio for 4 hours and be knowledgeable about what we're talking about, imagine whose job it is to watch film for 60 hours a week is picking up on those tendencies.
It doesn't sound like that hard of a code to crack.
No.
Some of that.
Yeah, it's not the Da Vinci Code.
Rudimentary stuff. Like the dude who has always called us to say, I know what play they're going to run,
right,
is really having a year.
Oh yeah, like I coach my kids' little league football team.
Right. They're right more.
They are. Yeah, they're having a year.
Thank you for the call, Chris. Eric is next up. Hi, Eric. Thanks for calling. You're on the air here on WGR.
Hey, what's good, fellas? Thanks for taking my call.
You're welcome.
So I'm having a hard time. I don't profess to be a front office person or anything like that, nor am I a sports psychologist, so I don't want to speculate how Josh is feeling. But it just seems like I have a hard time, like, being a fly in that room where the powers that be decided that this roster was good enough. Like, that conversation actually happened, that they decided that, okay, we can just move forward in this way. Now, not everything is going to work out as fans would like it to work out, but in my opinion, I kind of feel like the shelf life of Brandon Beane and Coach McDermott has been officially reached, and I'm curious on your opinion.
I think it. Yeah, thank you, Eric. I feel more than I ever have that those two, McDermott and Beane, have been drifting apart. I don't have it all written down, but there have been, Mike referenced it earlier this week, a few weeks ago, maybe it was maybe before the bye, during the bye, after the, I don't know, that McDermott talking about two-dimensional offense and what he wants from the passing game sounded to me like a coach trying to make it known, like,
I need a receiver.
I am not okay with the way this roster is put together.
Yeah.
Right? He's never going to directly say that. But there, to me, he sounds to me like he is, I hope I'm not getting too tinfoil hat here, okay? But he sounds to me like he's starting to leave crumbs that he wants you to pick up on.
Yeah.
They're like, I never said, it was when somebody said, we know you love to run.
Yes.
He said, I never said that. I want to be able to run, but I also want to be able to pass. And like that clarification to me was really loud. I just thought for him to want to make sure that my name is not on
attached to
I
it.
love to run, right? It's to me recognition that he knows what's going on out here and maybe knows how he's perceived and is trying to sort of, I'm more over here actually. And I think this past week with the deadline coming and going and them being attached to Jalen Waddle and Olave and Brian Thomas Jr. and whatever else, and it not getting done, I feel like Beane could be in trouble.
I don't disagree. I also want to make a point.
He failed to do what needed to be done last week.
I would agree. And I think there's something to likely be said about the results of last season lying a little bit. And what I mean by that is last year was supposed to be the step back. And I think they overperformed compared to what their skill level was both offensively and defensively. It's a bad defense last year. And they knew it, and they put all of their resources into it because on the station, right, famously, and now the thing about that whole Jeremy and Beane thing was, my immediate reaction was, he just very much unnecessarily put a giant target on his back.
Bingo.
And now, today, first things first, they're playing the sound back on Mina Kimes' podcast yesterday. Justice for Jeremy and Joe. And now, that little target that you did not have to put that on yourself.
No.
It is now giant.
Yep.
In your own words are being thrown back in your face. Yep. And a little of that is to think why the breadcrumbs of we tried really hard to go after divisional opponents, which I've got problems with in itself. It was unnecessary.
Yeah. I totally agree. I think if they spin out from here, which, I can't believe I'm even saying it, but it's possible. If they don't recover here, I think the target is on him.
Yeah, I would agree.
I really do. Thank you for the call. Thank you for bringing that up. 803-0550 is the number. We'll take a quick break. More calls. Eric Wood coming up in about 20 minutes, more like 15 actually, looking at the clock. He's Nate Geary, and for Mike, I'm the Bulldog. This is WGR.